Mm, mm, mm. What's up, friends? How's it going? I'm trying to get a background orientation in here that I like. We have a Peloton over there and it makes for unattractive backgrounding, but this is like a weird angle. That's the angle I wanted at, so I have to get rid of the Peloton. I'm not getting rid of the Peloton. All right, good to see you guys. We have a question and answer day. It's a teeny tiny group so far, so maybe we'll have you guys just get to ask questions over and over again. I don't know. Let's find out. So oftentimes, as you know, I'll start with a topic and we'll talk about things, and then you guys can ask stuff or do some energy work or whatever. But today it is question and answer day. So it's your opportunity to bring whatever questions you have. So hello, it's Tana Rose, ladies and gentlemen. I kind of wonder if the little number counter at the top of my screen tells me incorrect numbers sometimes. It's hard to say. Well, let's drop in. Let's do a little meditation and get ourselves connected to our bodies so I can be a little more connected to each of you and I can answer questions in a useful way. So when you're able and ready, we're going to go ahead and start our little meditation so that I can connect with the Akashic records of this group and I can take whatever questions you have and hear guidance that will hopefully be useful to you. I'm already hearing some topics that want to be discussed, so we shall see what occurs. So we'll close our eyes and take a few deep breaths into the low belly. Just consciously bringing your attention into that pelvic floor, breathing into the space between the belly button and the bottom of your spine, and seeing that whole space fill like a balloon that fills with air and expands. It gets taut and full. And as you fill that low belly area, feel your feet flat on the ground and see that little foot chakra spinning open at the bottom center of each of your feet. Closing the eyes as you're ready and willing and able. I'm keeping my eyes open because I'm tracking who's coming in just in case so that people know what's happening. So we're keeping our eyes closed, relaxing the full weight of our bodies into the chairs that we're in, feeling into the low belly, breathing into that area, seeing a little foot chakra spin open at the bottom center of each foot. We're doing this meditation in preparation for me taking your questions and attempting to get guidance and direction and healing light from the Akashic records. And as your feet begin to open on the energetic bottom of them, imagine and allow 500 tree roots of light to extend through the open window of each of your open feet. So 500 tree roots extend through the left foot hundreds of miles down into the earth. And 500 tree roots extend through the right foot hundreds of miles down into the earth. Just imagining this. Your conscious awareness is a tree of light. And so we see the roots of those trees, your trees, the tree of you, the consciousness of you, anchoring hundreds of miles into the planet, spreading left and right and forward and back and straight down. And as you see those roots growing down, imagine the branches and the leaves, which are sort of think of it as your aura and your awareness, the antenna of your awareness, spreading up and out through the middle of you and up and out the head. Big branches with many leaves. We're doing a little guided meditation if you just joined us to get ready for me to open the Akashic records for this group and answer your questions. So you're a tree of light, and your branches and leaves are your psychic awareness expanding above your head and out and left and right in every direction as your roots grow deeper into the earth. Okay, and so we do acknowledge this is that's all they want for meditation right now. The forces of light, asking for guidance, direction, and courage to know the truth as it is revealed for our highest good and the highest good of everyone connected to us. Holy Spirit of God, protect me, please, from all forms of self-centeredness and direct my attention to the work at hand. Help me to know everybody who's here tonight and who will be joining this Facebook Live in the light of the Akashic records. Help me to see everybody who's here tonight and who will be joining this live through the eyes of the Lords of the Records. And enable me, please, to share the wisdom and compassion that the masters, teachers, and loved ones of everyone here and everyone who will be joining have for everyone here and everyone who will be joining. I'll just go quiet for a moment. Breathe into your midline. All right. And as we deepen into the Akashic records of everybody here tonight and everybody who will be joining this Facebook Live, just asking the Akashic record keepers to dissolve, release, uncreate, destroy, integrate anything and everything in everybody here's field or mind that would stand in the way of each of them receiving what they're here to receive tonight. Guidance, direction, insight, clearing, healing, integration, etc. All right, so I am going to talk about a thing briefly here, and then I'd like to take your questions. So we're going to be diving really soon into whatever questions you guys have. So be thinking about what you'd like to ask. There's a thing that happens for me where when I get into the Akashic records, my vision gets blurrier. And I often have failing vision after I teach these classes with a bunch of people in them that a number of you guys know about. And I do this and I work with private clients all day, and my vision gets really fuzzy oftentimes. Some of that is like this work, it ages me. It does. And that's part of it. It grows us up, it matures us. But along with that, the body gets aged as well. So there's some of that. But right now, what they're showing me is the blurriness of the vision in this moment. And with my eyes closed, they're having me, it's like there's a Sufi teaching that says, essentially, when we look at the world and at our lives through the eye of our eyes, and I've talked with some of you about this before, we are influenced by the judgments of this culture we live in. Culture says you should look pretty, and the culture says you should seem a certain way and have your shit together and be successful at whatever the culture says about whatever should happen. And so the eyes of the eyes, like you looking through your eye holes, immediately you're coming from a certain amount of conditioning and programming. When the vision is blurry, however, one is pulled into one's psychic awareness through the center of the head, the center of the heart, center of the belly, and through the expanded awareness of the awareness field, which is beyond the body. And so oftentimes they're blurring my vision to encourage me to look with the eye of the heart, to perceive with the eye of the energy awareness body, to look with the eye of knowing, insight, wisdom, truth, rather than the easy to program eye of the eyes. So, in other words, what judgments could you be free of in your 3D life were you to look at the situation you're in through the eye of your heart? What would your heart choose? What does your heart know? What would your heart say? Additionally, what does your body know? What would your body choose? What does your body say? Rather than making judgment from the eyes. So, just a little food for thought there. Yeah. Okay. So, any questions? Now's the time. I'm in a nice, deep place of connection with your guys' souls and spirits and guides and teammates and record keepers and so on. So, now is the time. Please throw your questions in the chat. They can be abstract questions. They can be questions about the nature of being. They can be questions about your personal life. Nothing is too personal. Nothing is too much. Nothing is inappropriate unless you're inappropriate, and I'll let you know. Inappropriate would be if you're like trying to get a rise out of people, or if you're like trying to hit on me, or if you're just doing gross online bullshit. But if you have like a challenging personal topic, that is not inappropriate. If you have trauma from your past and you need help with it, that is not inappropriate. just to clarify. How do you know when you're loving unconditionally much? How does it feel in the body? What does unconditionally much mean? I think that was a typo, right? How do you know? My eyes are also blurry, so it's hard to read. When you are loving unconditionally much, like too much? Is that what you mean? How does it feel in the body? Can you help me understand the question a little bit, Tana? Because I don't think I understand what you're asking. Are you asking, how do you know when you're loving unconditionally too much? And also, what does loving unconditionally mean in your question? So clarify for me what loving unconditionally means. And yeah, just let me know what you mean because I don't know. Who else has a question? Let's throw them all up at once so that I can be answering a few at a time. How do you know when you're loving unconditionally in the body? Okay, what do you mean by loving unconditionally? Are we talking about your husband? Are we talking about your friends? Are we talking about yourself? What are you specifically asking about? In other words, where are you thinking you need to be loving unconditionally? And yeah, where do you think you need to be loving unconditionally? I need more specifics. This is a very too general, so I can't speak on it. So help me out, Tana. Okay, Gretchen says, source seems to communicate through feathers and 4, 5, 6 leaf clovers. Oh, nice. Okay, I feel it in those moments, which brings deep peace. I would love to connect more intentionally and clearly with guide source. How can I do that? How do I know when I'm in contact with my guides? Okay. All right. Mm. Okay, building a spiritual connection takes time. In the same way that when you build a relationship with a friend or a lover, you have to spend time with them. You have to get to know who they are. You have to get to know what it feels like to be in their presence. You have to get to know what they like and don't like. Similarly, you've got to spend time with the divine in order to have access to it. So, what you need is an active spiritual practice that you do every day or as often as you can get yourself to do it that brings you into communion with the divine that then as a byproduct gives you access to your guides as you're calling them. A lot of times when people talk about their guides, there's a lot we can say about this, but what you have to understand is real, clean, and clear access to any higher guidance is going to come through a strong, clean spiritual connection. So the homework would be chant every day if chanting is your way of connecting to source. Meditate every day if meditating is your way of connecting to source. So my question I would give back to you, Gretchen, is what is your spiritual practice that you can do daily, and are you doing it? And if not, I can look psychically into what would be a good practice for you, but I don't want to make any assumptions. So tell me what you're already doing. What is your spiritual practice? And then I'll tell you, I can respond more to that. So how you'll know when you're in contact with your guides depends on how you go about connecting with them. In other words, for myself, I have kinesthetic awareness of psychic stuff. So it's in my body. I also hear and know, and I sometimes see. So you and I have spoken, you say you have feeling and knowing, I think. So the more you connect spiritually, the more you can feel and know what the divine is saying back to you. My recommendation would be get in touch with the divine itself, with source itself. And then if your guides are relevant, the divine will give you access to them. Another way to do it is you could learn how to read the Akashic records. Learning how to read the Akashic records is a spiritual path. So it's a spiritual practice. So you have to do it a lot to get good at feeling it and knowing it. So I say again, what is your spiritual practice right now? How do you connect with source? How do you up the ante of the volume of the light in your consciousness? And if you don't have a way, let me know that and I'll see if I can give you a suggestion about it. Because there's many ways to go. I could say, practice chanting in the Hindu way. I could say, do Kundalini yoga. I could say, learn the Akashic records. I could say, dance. I could say a million things. And I can ask your guides, but I want to know, what are you doing already? So help me with that, and I'll come back to you. Tana says, how would it feel if you were loving yourself unconditionally? I see. And how do you know that you've achieved the ability to love unconditionally? How would it feel if you were loving yourself unconditionally? Okay, unconditional self love means everything that comes up, rather than going to judgment of it, you feel into it, you drop into the center of it, and you treat it kindly in an exploration of, does this need to heal, move, integrate, process, leave? Or is this just something about me that I need to own, love, and be with? So this leads to a question that is kind of general, that is a very useful question, which is, how do we, like, what does it look like to be out of self-judgment? Because really you could say self-love is the same as being out of self-judgment. I'm going to say that again. If you loved yourself, you would not be judging yourself. And when you judge yourself, it is not self-loving. So how would you feel if you were in unconditional self-love? Everything that arose, you would have no judgment of. So in the meantime, what you want to do is practice loving everything that comes up and loving everything about you, even the things that you think you have to dislike in order to change them, because that is not actually true. If I love my belly, my big chubby belly, if I love her, I can still go to the gym and eat fewer sugar things. I can do both of those things at the same time. Then a deeper inquiry would take me to, like, well, what's going on with this belly? Why is this belly here? Why is she so big? But what we do instead is like, ugh, this belly. Ugh, why is it so fucking big? That's judgment. So self-love would be practicing non-judgment of anything and everything about you. So practice as you go forward everything that comes up, your anger at your husband, your anger at yourself, your how you look today, what your bank account is, where you are on the spiritual path versus where you'd like to be. And then practice everything that comes up, bringing your attention and your connection to it. Remember, love is that which you connect with, that which you pay attention to, that which you take as a part of yourself. If you exile a part of yourself, that means you're in judgment of it. But if you take it in and go, yes, I take this belly as mine. This is my big chubby belly. I love you, belly. And I practice not judging her. If you, in order to not judge something, you have to confront all the pain that is behind a judgment. So just like I'm always talking about in healing class, every bit of resentment or struggle or trauma or everything has grief behind it. If it didn't, the trauma wouldn't be there. Similarly, every judgment, has grief behind it. So if I feel into my belly right now, I have this belly I've had a lifelong journey with. and I go like, I love you, belly. Something comes up that's like, no, you fucking don't. You hate me. And that's the belly talking back to me. Now I'm doing parts work with my belly. So you see, the practice of not judging brings us into self-love. So I would have to do parts work and heal, integrate everything under all the judgments of this belly in order to be free of this belly's the judgments of the belly, and therefore to be in love with the belly. So how does it feel to be unconditionally loving? That's an interesting question. I can tell you how it feels for me. It feels quiet and peaceful. My mind is very quiet these days and very peaceful. I'm very unworried about much. Knock wood. Thank you, God. So it's a very quiet and peaceful, loving place to be in my head. There's like nothing happening in there. I used to hate everything about myself and this reality. So my mind was very noisy. So I was in resistance to and judgment of a lot of stuff. So how do we get away from resistance and judgment? We have to love everything we're in judgment of. But how do you love it? You don't just pretend and start thinking positive thoughts around it. You have to heal the grief behind the judgment. So how it feels is peaceful, quiet, at ease, like that. Now, let's be clear. How do you love something like anger? Does that always feel peaceful and quiet? No. I love my fucking anger. I love it because it has my back and because I know now how to use it appropriately when it's appropriate and when it's not. Do you know that my anger in general, has your back so much harder than you do? Anger is what says, no, I'm not doing that. I don't want that. Yes, I want that now. Anger gets you there, but we are so programmed to hate our anger. So, what would it feel like to love your anger? You would have no resistance to having it when it comes up, and you would learn from it. People always want to know, how do I know the difference between this and that? You have to try it on, you have to practice it, you have to get angry and see, how did that go? How did that feel? Did it get me where I'm trying to go? Did it make people feel terrible? Did it make them feel terrible in an appropriate way? Or did it make them feel terrible in an inappropriate way? This is how we learn when is anger appropriate and when is it not. But boy, do I love my anger. Part of why I love it is because I don't abuse it and I don't manipulate people with it. And I am not toxically angry anymore. My anger is like one of my best fucking friends because it says, I'm not that thing there. Bullshit. That has to stop. It's protecting me, but not in a defensive way. So I love my anger, but I had to get to love of anger by learning the distinctions of anger and understanding when it was defensive and when it was healthy. Okay, that's a lot on that topic. Let me know, Tana, if you have any follow-up questions to that. Okay, now let me follow up with what Gretchen said. And I really mean it, Tana. If you have more there that you'd like clarification on, please add it. I try to meditate daily in order to silence my mind, feeling and knowing. I don't know if this method is ideal for me. It is not. Okay, so what's going to be an ideal spiritual practice for Gretchen? Okay, let's start you on. Okay, let me explain why it's not, and then I'll explain what would be ideal, and then I'll give you an option of one example of a way you could proceed, and then you can choose the way you'd actually like to proceed. Okay. It's not the ideal option for you because it doesn't actually transmute the stuck energies that you have operating deep enough, fast enough, or fully enough. It calms you and centers you and quiets the mind temporarily, but it doesn't dig into the nooks and crannies and clear everything out the way the divine light can. So I would give you Om Mane Padme Hum, which is a Tibetan Buddhist chant, I believe. Om Mane Padme Hum. You can look it up. You can just go to YouTube and Google, what did she say? Here, I'll type it in the comments. It looks something like this. Mane Padme Hum. And different people spell it differently, and it might be an om at the end instead of a hum, depending on who you train with. It doesn't matter. In other words, I would give you a phrase to repeat into your heart that will unlock, dissolve, disintegrate everything that makes you experience the opposite of peace. Meditation for you right now, it's not a powerful enough fire hose of light. You could use a fire hose of light, not when you meditate, it's more like putting a comforting blanket around you, which is important and they're good. But we want a blanket that goes inside you and changes your DNA and brings you to peace. So if start with Om Mani Padme Hum because that's the one they give me. I don't know. But if you find a chant and a phrase that you like better, in Sufism, we would call this remembrance. You would say the word Allah, God, the oneness, repeatedly into your heart, not your mind, your heart. Okay. And let that purify the heart and process your pain. If we were doing like Hindu stuff, you'd be chanting Hindu phrases. This happens to be a Tibetan Buddhist phrase. It's one I get for you. This may change over time. The spiritual practice, that's another thing people sort of don't always know. It changes. Sometimes you got to chant. Sometimes you got to meditate. Sometimes you got to do energy work. Sometimes it's pressure points on your body. Okay, so that's what I would recommend. If you find a chant you like better, use that. But it needs to be something that will cut away at the pain in the heart and cut away at the energies you're holding in the pelvis and in chakras 4, 3, 2, 1. The meditation will comfort you short term, but not give you the access you're looking for and the relief you're looking for and the access to yourself. I hope that's helpful. Let me know if you have follow-up questions to that. For real, please. Sonia, and then let me make sure I think I skipped some people here. Whoops. Oh, look, I love when I accidentally put people's question in the thing there. It's fun. Okay, let's put it back. Show. Okay. I've left my role with the company I was with. Yay! Congratulations. I'm not being guided toward anything else right now. So I'm sitting in the void with as much peace and ease as possible. Actually, quite happy about it. Do my guides have any insight for me about this space? Is there anything I'm resisting? Do your guides have any insight for you about what work to do or what work to pursue? Is that what you mean, Rhonda? I don't know what you mean by about this space. And is there anything I'm resisting? Okay, no, there's nothing you're resisting. I do get this. It would be useful, and please write a little bit if you don't mind about what you mean by this space. I think you mean about what work to pursue. Is that right? But please help me understand what you mean. Let me scroll down and see if you've said something. Yes. I don't know what you're saying yes to because I said a few things. I'm sorry. What are you saying yes to? The job stuff? What direction to go with work? I think that's what you're saying yes to. Okay. Yes, not having guidance about what direction to pursue. Got it. Okay. Let me just sit specifically with that. So Rhonda. Okay. There's two things. There's what to do and there's what to pursue. Like what to do with your time and how to be doing now. And there's what content, like what work. I always get this with you, and I feel like maybe you don't love it. You have to tell me, but HR, I think you are in something like HR already. Maybe you can tell me what is the kind of work you've been doing. So people management, but it's like you're helping them and you're sunny and cheerful and you're at a desk and they come to you and you have suggestions, go over here, call this person, do that over there. So truth, conscious awareness, is this what she's been doing? Truth, is this what she's meant to be doing? Yes. Anything where you are in a position where you get to smile at people and give them the information they need while it's like beaming all this joy and light at them. You're the person who people go to the thing. I hate the idea of going into an office. Okay, let me just finish what I'm hearing and then we'll come back to that. You're the person that people come to that they go to for a thing, but what they get is another thing. They're like, where do I take my TPS form? And you're beaming light at them and they're like, oh my God, you made my day. Okay. So is it in Rhonda's highest good to be in an office? All right. So what do you hate about going into an office? That's a place that you might want to do some work, because what is the resistance to the office? The thing I keep getting with you is that the structure and the time frame of working in a place where people are there is actually really helpful for your field and your system and your type and your design. I would sit into the hate of the office thing and process that, and but, like, in the way we did in class where it's you really go into it. You don't just, like, coach yourself out of it. You go like, "What is this hate?" Sit in there, bring the light into it with your spiritual practice, and let the light dissolve it and shift it and turn it into something else, and you'll have an insight. Because what is the hate about? The structure, the time, having to be on time, having to work for someone, what is it about? And if you can definitely drop all the way in, yep. And if you can tell me right now what it's about, I can give you some more intel, but I always get this with you. It's like you're there, you're at a desk, they come to you for like it's almost like you could work anywhere. You could work at the DMV, you could work at the HR, you could be high up somewhere, low down, it doesn't matter. It's that you're this person. And they're like, "That lady made my day." Is it in Rhonda's house? Does it matter what work she's doing? Ugh, I know nobody likes that answer. Confined, not enough freedom. Okay, let me sit with that. Yeah. Okay, that's some stuff from your past to work through. So what I would do is I would sit with the fear or the belief that you'd be confined and not have not enough freedom, that you'd be not appreciated, that you'd be not paid well enough. I see it to deal with the BS, that there would be BS. Rhonda, what if there's a job that pays really well and there's nice people who don't BS you and they appreciate you? Do you live in a world where there are literally no jobs like that? Is that the universe you live in? In which case, you need to sit with that perception, sit with that perception. Let it, yeah, sign you up. The way to get signed up for that is sit into the belief that that's the only shit out there. Okay, that's what that is. I love you very much. I hope that's helpful. Let me know if you have follow-up questions to that. All right, I'm going back and seeing what other folks say. Mm, Sonia, and let me see. Gretchen, I'm just gonna follow up with her real quick here. I love you too, Rhonda, so much. I like to feel an intensity of connection. Yeah, that's why you need the chanting. The way I feel deeply connected to another through the heart connection. Yep, chanting. Perhaps a path to transmute the energy. No. I love the fire hose analogy. Yes, good. Thank you. Yes, I'm aware of this chant. Okay, great. I've never tried chanting as a practice. I'll try it. Thank you. I'm so glad. Let me know maybe in our next session because you're so perceptive and sensitive and receptive energetically. It's going to blow you out of the fucking water. I would recommend, Gretchen, that you do it with, go to YouTube or something and have it playing, somebody's singing it at you and you yourself chant it. But you have to imagine and allow the actual words and the energy that comes with and through the words to come through your heart. Chant it in your heart. Well, that gets me very excited. You're going to have a great time. I love you too, Tana. Thank you for saying that. I hope it's helpful. Okay, Sonia. Oh, and there's Charlie. All the people. Oh my gosh, I'm so happy to hear from you guys. Okay. I'm sorry, I'm having to scroll up and navigate things. Okay. Somewhere, somehow, I feel like I closed the door to spirit. Messages used to come through very easily, and as of late, it's blocked. I still get messages, but it's really diminished. Sonia says, my health began to get worse as these messages got diminished and sluggish. I hear that. Sonia Tam, I'm going to keep reading down to see if you said anything else. Everything you're saying about your belly is causing so much intensity in my belly. Also love the talk on anger. I was walking around cleaning, thinking being angry is okay. Then boom, you're live. I love it. All right, let me try to respond to your question though. Okay, Sonia Tam. I hope I'm pronouncing your name correctly, Sonia. Sonia Tam. All right, so she's saying she lost her connection to spirit. And they say, yes, you did. It got dimmed, they would say. It got covered over. So the first question, Sonia, is what became more important than spirit? They say anything you worship above the divine, becomes a cloud to the divine, to your access to the divine. So the way that happens for me in my life is I'll get real wrapped up in like succeeding at some business thing. I'll be like, I'm going to start a new theater company. We're going to change the world and we're going to make all the shows and it's going to be great. And then I'm like, doing it. And then I'm like, what's God again? And the way that I feel that way is I get tense in my heart and I start acting like an asshole and I start doing all my old unconscious behaviors, like which are just overeating and being a douche, just being impatient and shitty with people. My Sufi name is Sabira, which means it's the teaching is about patience and perseverance. So I come back to the light. I drop in, I take a breath, I get spiritually connected. I bring all that frustration and impatience to the light. The light dissolves it, and I feel at peace again. And that allows me to pursue the things I'm pursuing in a more spiritually centered way. And so, my point being, it's not that we're, as spiritual people, meant to not do anything but spiritual shit all day. It's that spirit is, and we were talking about this in Star Beings class Tuesday night, I think. We are fallible. We are messes. We have egos. We have minds. It's a mess over here for humanity. We're not supposed to get perfect. Now, you can get perfecter and perfecter, but we're not becoming God. We're becoming ourselves, the truest, highest reflection of God as a self. A self is not God. It is an expression of God, but it is not you yourself are not the light from which all things emanate. Are you? No. So we are meant to be needy of and dependent upon God. So in other words, you're meant to make mistakes and you're meant to get clouded over. Your spiritual connection is gonna get clouded over. Why? Because you have to live a fucking 3D life on fucking planet Earth. So then the practice is, it's always a practice. Come back to the light when your heart goes shitty. My version of that is like I become a jerk, an impatient asshole. Other people's version is they become a doormat. Other people's version is they become afraid all the time, or they collapse, or they cry and they can't function, or there's many forms it can take when we're out of alignment. I'm hearing you say, Sonia, that messages aren't coming and your health is getting worse. Great. Those are great 3D and 4D indications that your alignment is off. So you need to up your alignment. How do you do that? Dive back into your practice. Get more deeply connected. Now, I'll tell you this much. I work in the spiritual light, really fucking high vibrational light, all fucking day, and I still can fall out of alignment. This brings us back to Tana's point, which is long ago, I said to myself, okay, I'm done judging myself for being human. Do you know how much freedom comes from that? I do not have to be a perfect spiritual guru on a fucking hill acting perfectly. I am not a saint. We're not meant to be saints. We're meant to be flawed human beings dependent upon the light and the freedom that comes from a connection to source. Lucky for me, where I'm grateful and lucky, is I can do 2 seconds of open the records, breathe, anchor, here we are, boom, back to connection. And then I know who I need to make amends to, who I need to apologize to, how I need to correct the behavior. You know, I know what's required, how to get myself back on the beam. So that comes after years and years of doing a lot of spiritual practice. So in the meantime, for yourself, what is your spiritual practice and what can you do in order to get back into more alignment for yourself? Squeeze, she needs to go out, you guys. I gotta let her out. She's the healer. Without the healer getting what she needs, nobody gets what they need. Out she goes. Oh my God. Oh my God. Drama. So much drama. I dropped garbage on the trash, you guys. It's gonna stay there because you're important. There's trash behind me. Let's let that be a metaphor. We're leaving the trash behind, but we're also allowing trash to exist. Look, trash existing, just like it does inside of us. All the trauma we hold, all our self-criticism, it exists. So we have to name it, own it, let it be there, and bring the light to it. Okay, I hope that clarifies, Sonia. And if you want, let me know if you don't have a spiritual practice and I'll check in on what would be a useful one for you. But that's the answer to that. Get lined up again, homie. Let me scroll down and see if she's responded. Okay, Sonia, let me know if you have a practice, and if you don't, let me know if you'd want to. Yes, I took on a career. I was told that I needed to focus on this new path to help people The more I helped people on this path, the worse I felt. Oh, okay. Okay. Hmm. I don't have a specific spiritual practice. Okay, great. What kind of career did you take on, and in what way are you helping people? Let's type that into the chat. Okay, and while I wait for you to type that in, Sonia, I became a life insurance agent. Okay, great. Let me sit with this for a second. Okay, so sometimes people think when they're spiritual, oh, I had this great connection, then I took this job, and then I lost my connection, so I must have to quit the job. So when I ask, is it in Sonia's highest good to quit the job? No. This is about, okay, this is a really good teaching, everybody. This is about the state of your heart while at the job. So while you're at your job, if your heart is facing God, as we say in the Sufi path, or full of light, as you might say in the New Age path, or surrendered to the divine, as you might say in a different New Age path, or at peace, if you're Buddhist, if your heart is in a state of unification with the oneness, you can be an insurance agent and be totally at peace and not lose your spiritual connection. So I come back to this is an indication that you need more time with spirit in your free time. You need to up your practice. So what would be in Sonia Tam's highest good? Spirit messages. I see. Okay. Is it in her highest good to be doing spirit messages, house cleaning? Here's my question, Sonia. Can you do spirit messages and house clearing and the insurance agent job? Because that would be a good, for some people, reading for people is part of their spiritual practice. So it's part of mine. I get connected for you guys and then I'm connected. Also, I'm wondering, Sonia, do you have Pisces in a prominent placement in your chart? So that's two questions I have for you. Can you do both, insurance agent and the other thing? And do you have Pisces in your chart? Okay, and while I'm waiting for you there to respond to those questions. Yeah. So you need to up your spiritual practice. So I am a Pisces. Yeah. I'm psychic and stuff. That's great. I was getting the Pisces energy and I wanted to be sure about it. So here's the thing about Pisces. For Pisces, whether it's in your sun, moon, or rising, or if it's somewhere else prominent in your chart, your Mercury, your Venus. But since it's in your sun, it's the most important. It's your ego, it's your personality. You will serve or suffer. But then this is for Pisces, everybody, not everybody. Pisces has to serve the people or you will suffer. Okay? But what you have to be serving is the light. So part of what's getting your heart twisted at work is you're serving the egos of the people. Instead, have your heart be in service to the light while you're serving the people. In other words, you need to be a highly integrous insurance agent. You need to be in integrity. You need to be in alignment. You need to be working for justice, peace, mercy, freedom, and love. You can do that while doing insurance. You just have to keep your priorities correct, but not just mentally, energetically, and in your heart. And you said your job required a lot of training, traveling, and focus on policies. Yeah, that would pull me out of alignment too. So I'd be doing a lot of spiritual practice to get back in alignment. So what spiritual practice is in Sonia's highest good as a Pisces? So remember, you must serve or you will suffer as a Pisces. Also, your ego personality is going to have a lot of intuitiveness, intuition, otherworldly abilities, fluidity, fantasy, very good at fantasy, creativity. Okay, so what is her practice? What is Sonia's highest good practice? You need to find ways to be doing your spirit messages and house clearings in addition to the insurance work. Is there a spiritual practice other than that? No, they're like, start with that. Even if you do it like a little bit here and there, help two people on, maybe don't work on Fridays, for example, in insurance and see all your healing clients, your reading clients on Fridays and then go clear 2 houses on a Saturday, and you'll be doing a lot better. Okay, good. Okay, good. All right, good. I'm glad that's helpful. Let me know if you have further questions. I'm gonna move on to someone else now. Okay. Awesome, awesome. Sonia Rahima. Salam alaikum, beloved. Coming up against a lot of loneliness lately. Wah, wah. I have friends at school here, but no one like me, super seeker in this city. And when I'm not at school, sometimes I feel too tired to try to meet folks. I hear that. I bring the feeling of heavy loneliness to God, and I really do feel the connection coming in. But I wonder if I also need to do something in my world. Any suggestions? Yes. First, I have to let the healer back in the room. It's very important. It's very important. Come on in, healer. Come on. Trash. Visible trash. Look at me not hiding my trash. Come here, Squeeze. Squeeze, come over here. We need you to do healing work. Thank you. Okay. For Rahima Elisar Hannah, what can she do? First of all, does she need to do anything in her 3D life? Yes, 100% yes. Okay, the first thing is they want you to practice. This is a good one for me too that I have to practice a lot. I have Pisces moon. Am I remembering correctly, Rahima, that you're Pisces as well? Aren't you Pisces? This is our Pisces day. I think you have Pisces sun, don't you? Remind me, I don't remember. So you want to practice connecting with human beings in a lighter way. Connect with them lightly. Oh, this movie I saw. Oh, your day. The things that we don't give a fuck about. You want to practice connecting in a lighter way. But here's the rub, while staying connected to your depths, so that the people who are depth divers are drawn to you because they'll feel you connected to your depths. Depths. It feels very hard to say right now. They'll feel you connected to your depths, but they'll hear you saying light things. And I don't mean fake things or false things. I just mean light things. Like, yeah, how are you? Yeah, we had lunch over it's nice out on the river. Oh, I saw this movie. Light, life, light. But things you can actually give half a shit about, right? But you got to stay connected to the depths of you so they feel the depths. That's thing number one. Thing number two is your judgment of your depths. Part of where your judgment of your depths, okay, two things. One is when you have judgment of your own depths, the people can't be drawn to you there because there's a wall in front of the depths. I wish that word were easier to say today. Number two, you can't call to you that which you're resisting in yourself. So we have to get you real good with who you are. And then you're going to call, and then you have to practice being that in front of them, AKA being in touch with your depths while talking about light stuff. And then those people will come to you because they recognize in you that which they are. Okay, so there's that. Is there anything else for her about this? Okay, right now, sometimes what happens for you when you get connected into your depths, the deeper parts of you, the pelvic floor, the belly, whatever, there's also stuff you're processing in there. So when people feel you connected in there, they feel the heaviness of what you're processing. So that's where speaking lightly with an open, light heart and being connected to that is useful because it makes people less afraid of the heaviness of what you're dealing with. Another way we could frame this entirely would be give me a second. And I want to say there's nothing wrong with that heaviness. It's just what's there. It's just some stuff that needs to move. It's not who you are and it's not wrong. It's just some stuff that needs to move. Also, but see, the depth is getting intermingled with the heaviness according to you, and therefore that's how they perceive it. You see, so depths and heaviness are together. Like if let's call the heaviness trauma that needs to process, It's like, what if you could understand there's my depths, which is a part of my gift. One of the gifts of you is how deep you are. And people who want that will be drawn to it unless you cover it up and hide it and try to not be deep. And when you conflate your depths with your trauma, that reads off of you, and then the people are pushed away from it because you're not in love with it because you're conflating the two. Is this making any sense? Let me know if you have follow-up questions. Please help me understand if I'm making sense here. Let me scroll down and see if you've said any words. I'm so glad that was helpful, Sonia. Pisces Sun. Walaikum salam. Depths. Okay, let me know if you have any questions, Rahima, or if you want clarification on anything I said, because I have to respond to you in order to clarify further. All right, I love you. I hope that's helpful. Please, please let me know if you have more. Oh, and the reminder too, Rahima, is you need to get out more, even though you're tired. Here's a way to do it that helps sometimes for Pisces people, because we're so sensitive, so sensitive, so sensitive. When you're already out doing something, like when you're at school, stay out a little longer. Like you want to go right home and get away from all the people, right? Instead, like, what are people going to coffee right after? Go to coffee and then be done with it. Because sometimes if you go home, it's so hard to get back out. It's a little tip. I hope that's helpful. Charlie, is it possible for everyone to read the Akashic records? I would say no, and I get a no right now. And what's it like? Is it different for everyone? It's definitely different for everyone in the same way that what it feels like to connect with God is different for everyone. What it feels like, or I should say, what it's like to perceive yeses and nos is different for everyone. What it's like to have guides and feel them is different for everyone. What it's like to, like, all experiential reality is different for everyone. Like if I pet Squeezel's body, like I'm doing right now with my right hand off camera, that feels different to me than it feels to you. Why? Because we're two different people. Is there a similarity? Yeah, it's soft and furry, and we can both agree on that. But if you and I went and tried to write an essay with words describing what is it like to touch Squeezel's body, we would write two very different essays necessarily, because we're two different body mind organisms. So yes, it's always going to be slightly different how people experience it. What does it feel like for me? I can tell you, like, or you said, what's it like? Is it possible for everyone to read the records? I get a no. Here's why. Some people are so blocked off and disconnected from God, they would not have access or entry. You'd have to do years and years of healing work for their heart, to purify the heart, to give them the ability to access. Some people don't give a fuck. Some people are atheist and therefore wouldn't believe in any of this, so can't even start to try. There's a million reasons why you couldn't open the records. If you're not open to it, don't believe in it, have a ton of trauma, don't care, don't want to, hate God. Hating God's a good way to not be able to open the records or read the records. Not wanting to deal with your trauma, not wanting to change the state of your heart, all those reasons. And what's it like? That's a fun question. To me, it's quiet, expansive, peaceful, bright, enlivening, and calming all at the same time. Like I said before, learning to read the Akashic records is tapping into the frequency of the Akasha, and the Akasha is the realm of God. So the Akashic records are just God's records. So in order to read the records, one has to be able to perceive and receive energy from the realm of God, the Akasha. So what does the realm of God feel like? For me, bright, peaceful, quiet, light, and filled with awareness. All the answers are there, but they come in through quiet, intuitive knowings, images, metaphors, words, sounds, feelings, etc. Okay, I hope that helps. Let me know if you have a follow-up to that. Okay. Okay, I'm just scrolling to see if anybody else had a question. Dana Ashva, hello, welcome here. I hope I'm saying your name correctly. I retired last October and thought I would then go full-time with my Akashic reading business, but it hasn't happened. Am I blocking it? No. Or am I supposed to go in a different direction? Yes. Okay, so for Dana Ashva, is it in her highest good to go full time with the Akashic Record? No, it's such a no. Okay, why is that? Can you help us with why is that? Hmm. She's got other stuff to do. We have other things for you. You have a kind of, what is that? Potency, power, force. Is that right? Power, potency? You have like a fortitude that is more useful applied elsewhere. So think of the new places you'll apply it. Uh, Wherever you end up putting your energy is how you're serving God. So you're serving God just as much by doing whatever. It's like the vibe I get, Dana, is they want you out in the world doing things, doing, affecting, doing, rather than home, receiving, opening, sharing, because you have more of, I mean, that's like what you're built for, is how I get it. You can do Akashic Records readings for people, but it's not the main only thing for you to be spending your time with if you want to experience satisfaction and fulfillment in your day-to-day experience of being alive. I hope that's helpful. Let me know if you have a follow-up to that. Happy to answer any follow-ups. Let me see if anybody's. Yes, you can read the records, Charlie, no problem. Okay, good, Dana. I'm so glad. You just need to train. You would be great at it, Charlie. Really, really great at it. You have all the things one needs to read them. Leslie, should I wait for love, or seek it? In other terms, should I join a dating site? Yes, to look for my future partner, or wait what the universe plans for me. Okay, I get it. It's like a yes everywhere. Okay, let me sit with this. Leslie Colas. Is it going to work best for her to get on a dating app? Yes. And to let it come to her? No. I think you need to be proactive about it in your case. By the way, I am not saying this for everyone. This is for Leslie right now. This is about practicing putting yourself out there. You need to start the engines. Start the engines. Do something. Do anything. Go on some dates. Meet some people. Get out of the house. Also, you're not going to like this. You need to tell. It would be wise to speed up the process for you to tell everyone you know and trust and love in your life that you're looking for someone really, really great to date. You're looking for love, and let them set you up. And it would be great for you to go out more socially with friends. And you're going to have to confront your fear and your anxiety and just be with it while you're out, be with the anxiety and the fear, and know that watch the people love you despite all the things you think they won't love you for. But you have to get some experience with doing that more. Right now, it's like you're trying to talk yourself into, I won't be judged. I am lovable. I'm good enough. But you have to live into knowing that. So you have to go out and find out that some people are loving. So it's get out more. Yes, get on some dating apps, go out on some dates, practice being out in the social world a bit more. Yes. Hope that's helpful. Rahima says, in the last 6 months, I'm a burping, yawning organism when I connect with Allah. Is that just clearing stuff? Yes, 1,000,000% yes. It's clearing what you're holding in the womb, in the belly, in the digestive tract, in the mind, in the back of the heart, and in the brainstem. Yes, it's trauma clearing. Okay. Oh, thanks for saying I'm glorious. Ooh, what a wonderful compliment. Glorious. I'll take it. Thank you, Gretchen. I appreciate that. Okay. That was a while ago. You're like, I said that? I'm just kidding. Amy Levinson Gray, hello. Okay, we're gonna go a few minutes over, guys, just so I can get all these questions. I'm worried about my sister-in-law who was recently diagnosed with a very aggressive stage 4 cancer. I'm really sorry to hear it. Do you have a question? Go ahead and ask a question. If you have one, I'll happily ask it for you. That's just you describing your feelings, which is, I'm very sorry to hear it. That's terrible. And I'm very sorry about it. So, okay, that was the last one. Amy, if you have a question, throw it up right now. Otherwise, we're going to log out for the day. I want to thank everybody for being here. I love question and answer day because it's so particular to you guys, and I get to be, oh, there's Amy's question. I get to be useful to you in a way that is hopefully specific and practical for your actual lives, and that matters to me a lot. What's the best course of treatment for Amy Levinson Gray's sister, right? You said it was your sister? Let me roll up here. Sister-in-law. Let me sit with it for 1 second. This is really specific. I do get that whatever the medical doctors are wanting to do, chemo or radiation, do it. And there's this alternative treatment where it's like high doses of vitamin C through I believe it's through what do you call it? A port in the veins. Okay, good. I'm so glad, Rahima. And my pleasure, Leslie. It will be hard. You got this. I have your back. We can talk about it at work. Amy, yeah. Chelation therapy. Chelation therapy? Is that the one that's the high vitamin C? If that's what that is, that's the one they want. It's the high vitamin C one. So your sister-in-law will get like doses, like really high doses of vitamin C, like intravenously. She should do that in tandem with the chemo or radiation that she's going to get. I do get that she could use some acupuncture as well to keep the chi moving. She's going to need a lot of vitamin D, also sunshine and vitamin D. And after the treatment is over, she'll want to continue the vitamin C and the vitamin D afterwards to sort of like fortify her system and detox from the chemo or the radiation. That's what I get right now. I'd love to dig into that a little deeper for you, Amy. So if you want to grab a session at some point, go for it so we can get into that a little more fully. I think there's more there. That's a big question because somebody's life is on the line. I'm grateful to you too, Rhonda. So thank you for the question, Amy. I really appreciate it. I hope that's helpful. Yeah, I'd like to dig in a little deeper. There's also some family lineage stuff here. There's some healing she could really do. Family lineage trauma. Everybody's all enmeshed and interconnected. It's kind of a mess with the family. So we want to do a bunch of healing there for her when she's ready. You have a session booked. Hooray. Okay, great. I'm so grateful for you, Rhonda. Thank you so much. I love you guys. All right. Thank you guys for being here. Hang with me for 2 seconds while I close your records. I want to thank the masters, teachers, and loved ones for their love and compassion. The lords of the records for their point of view. And the Holy Spirit of light for all knowledge and healing. I ask that you return everybody here on this live's energy to themselves. Please return everybody here's energy to themselves. Please return all the people I was just reading for, all their energy to themselves. Please return them all to their complete human wholeness, grounded and integrated in their physical bodies. The divine portal and the Akashic records of everybody on this Facebook Live, everybody attending this Facebook Live are now closed. Amen. The divine portal and the Akashic records of everybody attending this Facebook Live are now closed. Amen. The divine portal and the Akashic records of everybody attending this Facebook Live are now closed. Amen, amen, amen. Shadow and Layla, hello, Shadow and Muhammad Abdul Rasulullah. Squeeze of the dog sends her love and light and blessings your way. Namaste, my friends. I love you guys so much. I hope this has been useful. Come back next week. We'll talk about some other deep craziness. Bring your questions. We'll get them answered. Take good care of yourselves in the meantime. Love you. Bye.